Eyeshadow. Okay, next tutorial. Today's makeup tutorial is meant to be a rainbow horned vampire pointy teeth demon. I have no idea. I just really wanted to do something for Pride before the month ended, and I definitely had fun doing this. It's just so colourful and silly and just in your face fun. So yeah, if you'd like to learn how to do this makeup for yourself, stay tuned. Okie dokie, so to start this makeup off, let's talk about the prosthetic that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to be using this foam latex prosthetic, which is absolutely awesome. I'm really looking forward to using this. It's actually this evil kind of demonic vampire brow. And I actually got this piece from mostlydead.com, so I'll flash that link on the screen there. It'll also be in the description bar below. I really love the cheekbones on this piece. It's going to be really cool to apply. It's actually another piece by Infected Effects. And to apply foam latex prosthetics, I like to use a product called Prosthetic. It's just a really good adhesive for foam latex. So I take a paper-based cotton bud, dip that in the Prosthetic, and then start applying it to the middle of my face, in this case the top of my nose area, just on the bridge. And then I apply it to the corresponding area of the prosthetic and let that dry for about maybe 10-20 seconds, just until it's a little bit tacky. And then I can take the prosthetic, line that up, and then start sticking that down. And then I can start applying the rest of the adhesive going away from the face, making sure everything is nicely lined up. The reason why I do that is because if you applied it directly over all of the prosthetic and then stuck things down, things might not line up. And once foam latex is stuck down, it's quite difficult to remove it and line things up again. That's why we work in small patches at a time. So just go nice and slow and make sure everything is nice and even and lined up with your own face. So then, once everything is stuck down, we can take another cotton bud and some more Prosthetic and start applying that directly to the edges of this prosthetic. So to do that, we take the cotton bud, dip it in the Prosthetic, and then start applying that to the edges with a rolling motion going away so we don't lift anything up. We want to make sure to go around every single edge and around the eyes as well. So just make sure that everything is nice and covered so that when it's dried, it makes a nice blended edge. Okie dokie, so whilst that's all drying, I can talk to you about the next step, which I'm really excited about because that is going to be applying some fake horns. Yeah. So I had this idea, I don't know if it's going to work, but it's fun to try new things. I got these horns from a party shop. They're on a really thick elastic band, which obviously I cut out, and I figured that I could stick these to my head to make this really cool creature where the horns kind of meet together at the top. Hopefully they can fit in camera. I just realised they're quite tall. But you might have noticed they've got this weird texture. That is because I wanted to do something with rainbow horns. So to make it easier to paint, I coated them in liquid latex first. I actually did about 4, maybe 5 coats just to make it easier to paint with watercolours. Now you could obviously paint this with regular paints just, you know, before you apply it to your actual face. But I know I really wanted to like apply it to my face first and use watercolour just so I can blend it differently, and if I wanted to change my mind I could. Plus it's less permanent, so I could just peel this latex off afterwards and it would just be the regular coloured horn underneath. Plus, to be honest, covering it in latex first is going to make it a lot easier to apply, because usually what I would say is you apply latex to the base of a horn and then you apply it to the corresponding area, let it dry and then stick it down, because latex adheres best to itself. So I'm going to take a regular sponge and dip that in some liquid latex, the same that I use for the horn, then apply that to the area where I want the horn to be. Then I can let that dry and then press the horn down. We can then take some more liquid latex and apply that around the edge of the horn just to stick it in place more securely. So there we go. So before the last layer of latex dries, I'm going to take some regular toilet tissue that I've already separated into the thinner halves, and working with tiny little strips, I can press that over the wet latex just to really blend it off into the skin. So I'm just going to push this into the wet latex, grab my sponge, dip it in some more latex, and then saturate the tissue. So I'm going to do that for about 3 layers going all the way around the horns. Just make sure that it dries in between each layer. Okie dokie, so once everything is nice and dry and blended off, it should look something like this. I kind of have to lean back so you can see how big they are. So next, I'm going to start working on colouring in the Prosthetic to better match my own skin tone. So to do that, I'm going to use a lighter flesh tones palette, which I got from Neil's Materials. This is actually an alcohol activated colour palette. They do of course do other flesh tone palettes as well, just to match your skin tone, but for me this is the one that I'm going for. I just like using the alcohol activated colours because whenever I use a Prosthetic, it's really nice to kind of layer them up. It gives a more natural looking effect rather than just being a flat colour. And to activate alcohol colours, you of course need 99% alcohol. So I'm going to spray that onto my palette and then start applying the colours, starting with the red, just so there's a nice hint of warmth underneath the Prosthetic. And then I can start layering up some of the flesh tones on top. So I'm going to be using a firm but fluffy brush for this, and I'm going to apply the colour, not in any block area, but all around the face. And I can do the same with every colour until it all blends off. So there we go, so don't worry about it being too perfect because we are going to be applying some watercolours in this area, which brings me on to my next point, which I'm really excited about, and that is to apply the rainbow face paint colours. Yay! Didn't that look really pleasing? So my idea is to take these beautiful colours and to do a rainbow just about on the forehead and maybe underneath the eyes ever so slightly, and then have them melting down. I think it'll be really fun and kind of like the war paint of this demon. It just might look really awesome. Kind of like gay Lord of the Rings. I'm also going to be extending those colours to the tips of the horns as well, but we'll do that after we do the face paint. So the colours that I'm going to be using for this makeup are all by Superstar Face Paints, and these colours are purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. I was toying with the idea of using different gradients of colour, but I think it would just be too much in such a short area, especially considering how there's limited space between the horns now. So I think we're going to go for 3 colours on one side and 3 on the other. So I'm going to start by painting the block rainbow with kind of a wavy edge, and then we can work on the melting afterwards. There we go, nice and colourful. Don't worry too much about the neatness of everything because we're going to be going in and neatening things up later on after we colour in the horns. But for now, we can focus on the dripping effect. So to do that, I'm going to start with the purple again. I'm going to load up the brush with a lot of the purple colour and then hold that really heavily just at the edge of this little peak that I've made. Because hopefully, as you can see, I've made like a wavy line. And then we want the colour to just fall down wherever it wants to. And we're going to do that exactly the same again with the blue, the green, yellow, orange, and red. We don't want to really manipulate that colour, we just want it to fall wherever it does, just so it looks more natural. I say natural, I mean look at the horns. Ha! You know what I mean. Okie dokie, so now we're nice and drippy, we can work on the next step. But just before I do, I want to point something out that seems very cute to me, and that is when I was doing the yellow stripe, all the drips here, it went around my nostril and formed kind of half a heart. So I took a makeup wipe and just cleaned up this little area here. So now there's like a little subliminal pride heart right in the middle of my nose. It's too cute. I think you can tell I'm having a lot of fun with this makeup. So next we can start colouring the horns. So I'm so happy right now. So I'm going to use exactly the same colour method as I did before, starting with the red. So I'm going to do a red stripe just at the base here, then an orange stripe, then a yellow, green, blue, and eventually purple on the tips. We're not going to make those drippy because obviously that would be too much drippiness and it would all kind of just blend into itself. So I'm just going to make these block colours until we get to the top. So there we go. So now that everything is rainbowy, I have decided last minute just to slightly blend the colours together because, I don't know, I just think it needs to be a little bit more softer. So to do that, I'm taking a new fluffy brush and I'm going to dip that in the water and just slightly buffer the line on each colour. So yeah, I just think being blended into each other kind of makes a softer element to this look, especially being on such a harsh pointed horn. So then I'm going to do exactly the same with the base of the red and the same brush. I'm just going to dip it in some water and then lightly dab around the very edge of the red base just until it tapers off. So then, just to add a little bit more dimension, I'm going to add some spackling just around the base of the horns. So to do that, I'm going to take a really nice strong spackle brush, which is basically like a wiry toothbrush, and I'm going to dip that into some water and then press it into a black Superstar face paint, and then lightly spackle the colour just around the edge of the horns. There we go. So the next step is to work on the eye area. So to do that, I'm going to take the same black Superstar face paint and I'm going to paint in the complete eye area and underneath and then let that dry. And then we can work on blending it away afterwards. I'm then going to take a medium fluffy brush and a black eyeshadow by Sugarpill. This one is in Bulletproof. And I'm going to apply that quite heavily to the edges of the eye sockets and blend them away slightly, just to really smoky out that area. So then, all that's left for me to do is to pop in some contact lenses, pop on a costume, sort out my hair, and we'll see what it looks like. And there we go. That's my look. Officially complete. So I finished off the look by popping in two completely black Scalera contact lenses, and I popped on this awesome coat, which I do believe I got from Hot Topic a very long time ago. I was going to wear something a bit more colourful, but I thought it might detract from the face a bit, and I thought this way it would frame the face nicely. I also popped in two vampire fangs because the bottom of the face is kind of lacking, I thought, so this kind of makes up for that. Yeah. And yeah, so that's my makeup tutorial complete, and let me be honest with you, I'm really fighting the urge right now not to call it a colourful, horny vampire. Maybe. But yeah, this was such a fun makeup to do. It's just so colourful and happy, and I really love doing it. I am just waiting for the comments to roll in though about asking me how I took my t-shirt off, because there is not a t-shirt underneath this. This is just the jacket. So before I end this tutorial, I will be popping a link on the screen up there that takes you to my previous Pride video, which was honestly one of the most fabulous fun videos I've ever done. It's just so wonderful. Everyone just came together to help me make it, and it's just, it's one of my highlights. And on the subject of that, I also just wanted to say, as I do whenever this comes up, that life is just too damn short to be anyone other than yourself. So just be you and be proud, because you are honestly fabulous, okay? So thanks everyone so much for watching this video. I do hope you all enjoyed it. If you did like it, please make sure to, you know, the usual, like, comment, subscribe and all that jazz. And yeah, so until next time, bye fluffies!